Yeah, you got to check out MultEQ-X. So a lot of people were complaining about the price, and I totally get it. You know,
What is it, an add-on to what you already have? Like, what's the requirements?
So
what's the requirement? Will it go on anything that has multi-EQ already?
Yeah, anything that that can work with the editor app, you can use this MultEQ-X.
It's $200.
It's $200. And the thing, so I told Jeff this. I was like, the first day I was seeing all the comments, I'm like, you guys got to rethink this licensing thing because people hate it. You know what I mean? Like, people are upset about this. They want to buy it, but they just don't feel good about this part where it's tied to the user and it's also tied to the unit. Right?
Right. So if you sell it, somebody else is going to have to buy it.
They have to buy it again, but you're going to replace your thing, and now you have to buy it again.
Right. Yeah, that's messed up. No, they need to figure something out.
Wait, so it's non-transferable.
Right.
Yeah.
So the new person buying your old AVR has to pay the $200 to get it too.
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah, you get hit twice because then you lose money on the resale, and then you have to pay for it again.
Yes. So there's something there. And I think I'm trying to look at it from both perspectives where the way the Audyssey sees it is, well, this is a pro thing that's made for, installers, and they don't want them to just like buy one license and then just use it on all the AVRs that they sell.
Okay, right.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So they have to figure that out. I think people really need to realize that Audyssey, Sound United, different companies, separate companies, right?
Yeah. Right.
So Sound United could be all ballin'. It doesn't mean that Audyssey's like super ballin',
They're like semi-ballin'.
I don't know. But the point is they're different companies. And even so, I want a public apology to Keeping Up with the Joneses, because in that video I was like, I was kind of like just being, I don't know. People were like, oh, $200, and I think it's a great deal, right? So I thought I was obviously joking, but I was like, dude, don't you like to get paid? I said to Jeff, like, do you work for free? And I think Tristan, I know you kind of took that a different way, and I can understand, but definitely didn't mean it that way. All I'm saying is I do think that it's a good deal for a specific person, right? It's not, if you're expecting a better auto EQ, you're not going to get that. Whatever your AVR came with, it's already going to be pretty much the same thing. If you just want a little bit of ability to tune it and turn off mid-range compensation and kind of make a custom curve, the $20 app does that. But for the very small percentage of people who want to do what I want to do, which is use it as like a filter bank, right? I want to take measurements with REW. I want to come up with my own PEQ filters, but now I need a place to put all of them. That's what this allows me to do. And so I would say the equivalent would be having to get a mini DSP with, let's say, Chana, you have like 13 channels. FOMO, how many channels you got?
I mean, I can try to do 13.
How many speakers do you have?
I have 17.
17. Okay, so you would need to get probably 20 channels.
What do you include the sub? I have 2 subs, so I have 14 plus 2 subs.
Okay, so you probably want like you'd need 2 10x10s for mini DSP, and then you could put in all your PEQ filters if you wanted to equalize each one.
Yeah,
right?
That's too much work.
That sounds like a lot
for most people, right? But for me, it's not too much work. I mean, I'm not buying a Trinov. Okay, I can't. I'm not that baller.
And we kind of like talked about this in the after show last week. Like, Ton was talking about the 4 months it took him to learn all this information and put it in and dial in his Yamaha. And he's like, oh yeah, if I had the money, the Trinov just did it. So, and then, would just do it all and I would save the time. But then, it's a lot of money.
It is a lot of money.
I would say that I think that I do certain things better. Yeah.
Fair enough. I mean, I like the public apology. There's not a lot of people on YouTube that will actually say they're wrong when they're wrong. And so that was cool.
How about this, Aaron? Would you say
I'm never wrong?
Would you say for the guys who are excellent at doing or excellent at DSPing their car audio system for sound quality, is there anything that would do a better job than them?
So Dirac comes the closest, and I'd say it probably gets you maybe 80 to 90% as good as the best of the best can tune the system manually. But Dirac sucks with mid bass, and it cannot fix phase integration issues on its own. So like if you set the polarity incorrectly, or if you wire it incorrectly, it's not going to know that you did that wrong and know to flip it. It's just going to assume that you did it the best you could, and it'll fix what it can, and it won't be able to fix what it can't, right? So absolutely, there's a limit where if you have enough experience and you have the time, then you can do better with less. It's the same old argument for DIY versus not DIY, right? Mm-hmm. So personally speaking, if I had the time, then I'm going to do everything myself. But if I'm looking for something like my home theater upstairs, I just run Audyssey through it because it's easy, or I run Dirac depending on if I'm using the mini DSP, So it just depends. It really does. How much you care. Some people you just don't care.
80 to 9, what would you say, 90%, right, of the way?
I'd say so. I mean, it gets you and that's Dirac. Now, the other ones up until Dirac came out a few years ago were terrible. I mean, they might get you 50 to 60% of the way. Mm-hmm. But the time alignment was still a little bit funky. There was still phase misalignments. Mm-hmm. EQ stuff was kind of weird, but it also depends on the DSP that you're using, how many filters are on tap, and what kind of processing it uses as well. So, yeah, it's really just it depends. Like everything in audio, it's a pros and cons game. So, how good are you at doing this thing versus not?
So that's kind of where I'm at. Is 10% is a big difference, right? So if I can get somebody, an extra 5%, you know how much people pay for an extra 5% increase when you already have a pretty decent sound system? It's a big percent.
You can chalk it up to just drive units. Like when I test raw drive units, people always say, well, why should I pay $200 more for this one drive unit when I can get the same thing or almost the same thing for $50, And I'm like, well, because it gets you that extra 10%, but it's like exponential, man. It's not, this stuff isn't linear, and knowledge is the same way. It's exponential. Like once you start learning things, you pick it up at a pretty accelerant rate.
Yeah. Yeah. So to me, I mean, that extra 10% is just, it's everything, right? That's what I'm searching for. And I don't mind spending the time to do it.